Hey, GM Corey here from DreadVectorStudios. I just want to throw together a quick tutorial on ALS version 4 on how to spawn blueprints into your character hand using the existing systems that are already built into ALSv4. So I've got some very basic systems here. I've got the ALSv4 system project just installed. I also have the M5 Visual Effects Volume 2, which you can pick up for free over on the marketplace. It is literally one of the easiest to use and free visual effects tools out there that I've come across that you can just throw in and get a torch effect pretty easily, because that is the blueprint that I'm going to be using for this demonstration. So it is the M5 VFX. Just find that. You can tell I already own it here, but just go ahead and go to this and add it to your project. We're going to be using it to build the torch. So right off the top, that's the only things we have in the project. You can expand your content manager here. See, that's all that's in here. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the blueprint section here. And this is really in the character logic folder. That is where the heart of the system is. This is your player controller, your base character that everything is going to inherit from. Your player, your enemies. Everybody should inherit from the same object if they're going to be using the similar stats. And then you want your Animan basic your blueprint character that you're going to be doing all of your editing into. All right, so the first thing that you're going to look at here is that you want your Animan. So you notice it's very simple to look at the original event graph. The only thing you can do here is actually toggle your mannequin mesh, which you might have seen in other tutorials where you can swap between the mannequin and the Animan back and forth, or you can actually use your body mesh here to set your actual visual appearance of your character without having to rebuild every animation and retarget and go through all of that mess. I'll save that for another tutorial if anybody has any questions. There's also some existing tutorials out there regarding that. The number one thing I really want to focus on in here is this held object section of the functions. Under held object, you're going to find four main functions here that really deal with spawning objects in your hand through ALS as it stands. The number one part of it is going to be the update held object. This is going to be the first thing that is called when you switch your overlay state, for instance. So when you come in here and you play, the first thing that you're going to see, you hold the Q key and you get this scroll menu. So if you choose this torch, it's going to spawn a static mesh of the torch into your hand. It's not even actually going to spawn it. It's going to reassign it based upon your character. So you've got this static mesh object, sub-object component right here that is actually a scene actor. And, well, it's not a scene actor, it's a scene static mesh. So you can reassign it to be some other mesh at any point. So you can see it here, and that's all it's doing programmatically. Is you'll see on the pistol animations or overlay states, it's got the M9 here for one hand, two hand, then you've got your bow, and you've got your torch here. Ultimately, what we're going to be looking at is the attached to hand function. This is the most basic system. So the first thing it's going to do is it's going to clear the object that's in your hand currently. If it's already set to nothing, then it doesn't have to worry about it. It's going to set it back to null anyways. So we're currently under clear held object over here. And you'll see that if it's going to grab your static mesh object here, and it's going to reset it to nothing. It's going to do the same thing for your skeletal mesh, as well as the associated animation that it's attached to it, which it has one animation that comes with the project, which is the bow drawing animation, which when you go into aim with the bow drawn, it will pull the string back. That's the one animation. And it will synchronize it and all of that. But we're not going to get into that today. We're just going to look at replacing or extending the functionality in this setup. So the first thing we're going to do is in the attach to hand function. This is really the meat of the process. If you click on the attach to hand node here, you'll notice that you have a number of inputs. You can receive the static mesh, skeletal mesh. You can receive the animation object reference that is by class. That's why it's purple. And then you can see that the left-hand Boolean is going to be what determines whether it spawns into the left hand or the right hand. And then you have the offset, which is going to be from the hand IK bone to where it actually, the object sits. It uses the root and then a vector offset to actually tell you where it's going to sit. Most of the time that's going to be null because the props in here are already calibrated to have their root location where the wrist bone is actually located at, which is the hand bone. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is we want to grab in here all of this and just push it down just a smidge, okay? Because we don't want to mess with the existing functionality. We want to add in an additional pin, hold Control, and move this one down. So we're just going to make a little bit of space for ourselves, and we're going to emulate the system as is. We're going to come over here, and we are going to add in a new input to this, and we're going to call it new actor object. So the actor object is just going to be an actor object as it sounds. Sorry, it's not going to be an actor object. It's going to be a child actor because we want it to spawn in on the character and we want to change it. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to come up here and we're going to go to the held object root, and then we're going to add a component and we're going to say child actor. And it's no coincidence that these are the same thing. So if we come back over here, we look at this, this should be the class reference actually. So child actor component, you'll see the expansion and class reference. Wait a second, that doesn't look right. What's going on here? Why is it not giving me the actual child actor? Should be the little ring. No, that's a component. We don't want the component. So it can get a little confusing here because actor is a massive class. So the number one thing we want is the actor object. Let's do the actor class reference, okay? So we can pass it now any actor by class reference. A blueprint, for instance, can be an actor, especially if it has a scene component attached to it. So what we're going to do is this new actor object here is going to be passed in over here, right here on the bottom. I'm just going to be move it for the sake of organization to put it up above the animation or above the right there. Nope, right there. We want it right below the animation class because we want it in the fourth slot. We want it to be here, so it's going to come down into then 3. So the sequence node is going to execute this, then this, then this, and then it's going to come to ours. So the first thing we're going to do here is we're just going to get the existing child actor from the actor mesh, right? So the held object root. Just drag this out here. We're going to do a get by default because we can't really do much else. Right click it, convert to validated get, and there's the node that they're using in this. So from there, grab the child actor, come over here and set child actor class is the node that we are going to use here. So we're looking very similar right now. The only difference here is that we're now going to grab the new actor object here. We're not going to connect it up through the wires. Because it's passed in as a variable, we can actually just grab it as a variable from anywhere else. So get actor, get new actor object here, and we're just going to drop that right there. Okay, so now what we've got is we're going to grab your blueprint and we're going to drop it into your hand. Now, connect it up here to node. So now we want to make sure that we have that basic functionality in. But what do we do if we've already got it in our hand? Well, we have to go up here to clear held object, and we have to set the child actor, and we have to, that's right, set child object, set child actor class. Oh, we didn't even have to drag it in. It's going to do it for us. Look at that automation. Perfect. And then we're just going to set it back to nothing. Boom. So now we have basic functionality in place. Unfortunately, we don't have any blueprints to pass in. Because we're going to be using the torch class here, I'm going to go back to the level, and I'll just go into the props folder here, which is not under blueprint. Go into meshes. Well, we're going to props, and then we're going to put a blueprint folder in here because you're going to want to do this for a number of objects. And we're just going to say new folder, blue, if I can type, prints, and then in here we're going to create a new blueprint class. It's just going to be an actor, blueprint underscore torch. Okay, so if we go to the torch, we have nothing magic going on here because we just got the default scene root. We're going to add component. We're going to say static mesh because what we're using is just a torch, which if you look in the folder is just a static mesh. And then we'll scroll down a little bit and find ourselves the torch mesh. So we have the mesh and then an actual object here. Which one? See, there's a mesh in here for a torch in the other project, actually. We're not going to use that. We're just going to use the one that we've already got, okay? Now, grab that, all good. So it's going to use this root in the character's hand so it already knows where to hold it. We don't want to mess with that. Next thing we want to add is, say, a light object. It's going to be a point light. We want light to emit from a location, but we don't want it to be here at the root. We want to just go ahead and drag it up to the top, so it maybe at 52 probably be better, just so it's above the top of the torch. And we'll call that good for now. Okay, we've got a blueprint that creates a light source. Now, when we come over here back into attach to hand, you'll see we're spawning in whatever we print or whatever we hand to it. So we need to go to update held object. Okay, so now when we go down to the torch here, we no longer want to pass it that. We want to just pass it our torch blueprint. BP underscore torch. Perfect. So nothing. This is it. New actor object. BP underscore torch. There's our torch object. Compile. Save. Cross your fingers. Hit the play button. And now when you pull out the torch, you have a blueprint object in your hand that will run around with you. I would suggest turning off the cast shadow on the torch static mesh as is, but that is the basic functionality for throwing in any blueprint object into the existing overlay state selection menus and overlay state dependent objects in your character's hands. So again, this is GM Corey from DreadVectorStudios, and thank you so much for watching our little tutorial, and I will get this posted up online, and if you haven't seen it before, just go ahead and like, subscribe. The project we're working in with this, if you're just coming from YouTube, is ALSv4. It is free now on the marketplace, and it is an excellent starting point, jumping off point for pretty much any third person or even first person character based games. All right, thanks so much. Like and subscribe.